Today I have a review of issue 8 of White Dwarf from 22nd of March 2014. In this issue we've got a couple of terrains for 40k. We also have a battle report from Hobbit and a couple of new miniatures and books released. Keep on watching. Well, in front of us we've got issue 8, and as you can see on the front cover we've got Void Shield Generator, the new resin cast piece of terrain from Games Workshop, and in the corner you can see we've got a couple new miniatures and a battle report for Hobbit. So let's move on. As always, on the first two pages we've got opening salvo and the list of articles and new models and the prices, new models and books obviously. Move on. Right, over here we've got Void Shield Generator. The Void Shield Generator is a resin cast model, as I said. It's a highly detailed, there's plenty of intricate details on the model. It's basically a device to generate void shields for your units. What else? I can already see a amazing and brutal combo of 4 Imperial Knights and a Void Shield Generator, and just Knights standing around it, taking all the hits and basically regenerating their void shields. Now, to be honest, I haven't seen the rules for it yet. Apparently they are available, and they have been available for a while, but I haven't seen them. Well, this is a part that I hope I won't have to do too often, but this time I really had to. Come on, Void Shield Generator, this one. It's a resin cast, forge rolled resin cast, not fine cast resin cast, piece of terrain for 40k. It's limited edition, only 1000 pieces of it. Come on, Games Workshop, limited edition terrain. I mean, we had codexes, we had rulebooks, limited edition, that's fine, I mean collectibles. But terrain? I mean, seriously. Well, apart from what I just said in the short clip, this terrain apparently is obviously resin cast, but as with all resin cast models, there's plenty of preparation needed. This model is already cut out from the sprues and from all the molding bits. It's cleaned and it's washed, so it's ready to get glued and primed, which is, well, to be honest, great stuff, Games Workshop. But again, why is it only 10,000 pieces? Let's move on to the next piece of terrain, which is released this this week. It's Quake Cannon Craters, and these Quake Cannon Craters, there are 4 of them in the package. They are different to what we know as craters from the last set that we've had from Games Workshop. These ones have some bits and bobs on them. As you can see, there are some bits of tanks, dead guardsmen, dead flooring, some spent shell casings, and green painted case. If any one of you can tell me what does this case resemble, leave your comments in the section under the video, and yeah, well, be the first one, simply. Also, apparently these pieces of terrain, there are obviously 4 of them in the box, but they come in 2 pieces each, and they're interchangeable, and you can create 10 combinations. So there's a huge chance that if you and your mates buy these pieces of terrain, you won't be facing the same terrain, having the same terrain. Next up, we've got Bear on the Bear, the model for Hobbit, and as you remember from the movie, he's the guy that lived on his own in the woods. He's the shapeshifter, the guy who's been imprisoned by orcs. As you can see on his back, he's got plenty of scars, and on his left hand he's got still shackles. One of the pieces of shackles that orcs bound him. It's just for him to remind that he hates orcs. I mean, if you had to remind yourself about that. Obviously, he comes in 2 modes, in 2 models. He can change his shape into a bear, and more on that later. Next up, we've got Girion, Lord of Dale. As you remember, this is the guy who got a hit on Smaug and sort of chipped his hide with the bow on like a huge bow on the turret. Again, next up we've got Thranduil, the Elven King. In this model, he's not in his very expensive and ornate clothing, but just in simple robes. The model looks good, but to be honest, I don't really like his palms of his hands. They seem too big for elf. And the crown that he's got on his head is supposed to be made out of sticks and stuff, but it just doesn't look good to me. On the other page we've got Gundabad Orc Captain, and I'm gonna move to the next page and you will see why. We've got a couple of new models for Gundabad Orc Swordsman and Spearman. These are not normal orcs. These orcs are there to cause fear in the enemy. That's why they've got those weird masks and those weird helmets, as you can see over here. They look a bit like things from Silent Hill and stuff. All the shields that they've got are meant to be used as weapons. The same goes for the helmets, and these are rank and file orcs apparently. Obviously I haven't seen the rules because I don't have any rulebook for Hobbit, but that's what they say in White Dwarf. These are the orcs that can sort of mob up in a proper manner and deal maximize damage. A couple books. We've got three books and one digital edition. The first one is Clan Araucan and their stories of the split within the Iron Hands clan and what was going on. This is also a limited edition. It has a limited edition version with this new cover, which apparently in the digital edition is as animated as something's going on this cover. A good thing about it is that, well, Games Workshop found out that there are different things than iPads and iPhones and iBook and iTunes. This book is also available for mobile devices like Kindle and basically EPUB version. What is not available in EPUB version is Data Slate for Tyranid Onslaught Rising Leviathan 3, which is a story and all the rules for using your Halifax Leviathan and their Onslaught. Well, what else can I say? It's Tyranids gathering biomass. Well, simple as. Next, we've got Path of Archon, or Archon, whichever way you think it's better. This book is about society of Dark Eldar, and apparently it catches the feeling and the sense of I would say desolation and the grim life they carry out. I mean, I haven't read the book, but that's what they say over here. If you are by any means interested in Dark Eldar, I think you should be getting this book, or at least read a review and make up your mind if you want to get it or not. And the last book release is Gotrek and Felix, the Serpent Queen, which surprisingly is not does not cover stories of Gotrek and Felix, but stories of some of their friends who were apparently their characters have been built up enough to create like a spin-off, but it's just in the same book, in the same series, because this is the next book in the long-running series, as I remember. Next, we've got Barrels Out of Bounds, which is a battle report for Hobbit, as I mentioned at the beginning. If you remember the scene from the movie where the dwarves and Bilbo are running away from elves on barrels down the river. Obviously, elves try to stop them and try to chase, and they are chasing them. But apparently, out of nowhere, orcs are coming there and try to stop and kill the dwarves and kill Bilbo. Obviously, then elves try to stop the orcs, as elves do. They hate orcs more than they hate dwarves, probably. So the battle commences, and the dwarves are trying to escape. In this scenario, apparently, you have to make 12 out of those 12. Dwarves make 9 escape to the safety, and that goes on for a couple of pages. There's really nice terrain which we can't see too much of, unfortunately. As you can see, there's a river, and the terrain is built from what I can see and gather over here. It must be beautifully crafted, but unfortunately we don't get too many pictures. Maybe they are available somewhere online. Next up, we've got To Battle a Behemoth. These are for the next page as well. These are some tips and tricks on how to fight Imperial Knights. And obviously, from in this article, Jess is trying to show how he approached killing the Imperial Knights with his Tyranids, and what were the downfalls and what worked, what did not work. and he's giving you some suggestions. Next, we've got 3 different other guys giving their suggestions as well. Obviously, people from White Dwarf have had their codexes and Imperial Knights much earlier than us, so they were able to do that. Unfortunately, we weren't, so we have to rely sort of on their opinions and on their advice. Sorry. Next, we've got Lord of the Wild, and this is a bit of background stories, a bit of fluff, as I would say it, behind Beon and how to use him. It's a bit of fluff and a bit of tips and tricks how to use him in the game. Apparently, he's very skilled and causes fear in the game, so you can use him as a bear. But when he's a man, obviously he can get into places where the bear couldn't, because the bear is on a huge base, and but it's easy to, let's say, entangle him in a combat, so he can't change, he can't shapeshift. But obviously, it's said how to do it, so he can change shifts by, let's say, using a willpower point, or whatever it's called in Hobbit game. Next up, we've got paint splatter. Over here, we've got a couple of techniques on how to apply dry brush, how to prepare your brush, and how to prepare your model, which goes on about masking and why you should mask the model before dry brushing. Over here, we've got designer notes. The guy who created the craters, Dave Andrews, is going on about why did he introduce so much detail, why are those craters they don't actually, well, the thing is that they don't resemble rocks, they don't resemble concrete, they don't resemble any other rockcrete, as it's called in 40k. It was intentional, that's what he says, so you can basically paint it so it matches your table. If you've got a rocky terrain, rocky table, you can paint it obviously to look as rocks. If you've got concrete, paint it as so it looks like rocks, which is pretty cool. And to be honest, I'm looking forward to buying those because I liked Games Workshop terrain, not the resin one, unfortunately. Next up, we've got what's in White Dwarf team, and obviously we've got a unfortunately short article on how the river was created and how it was painted. We've got some updates on Gundam.org updates, rules updates, and a paint job on the bear. Bear on the bear. Next page, weapon of the week, which this time is Necron Warscythe, and model of the week, which is Chaos Lord, painted by Tony Serrano. And obviously some notes on how actually the void shield generator works, and so on. And on the last few pages, we've got Wraith Knight, painted by one of the team members in White Dwarf. Obviously, as you can see, it's almost black, but believe me, painting black well is very hard. It's even harder than painting any other color. As you can see over here, we've got again a pretty cool picture of the new terrain and some models. We've got the Ultramarines fighting Eldar on the new pieces of terrain. So this is it. This was the review of issue 8. As always, I invite you to leave your comments, leave your opinions below in this video. Subscribe to this channel. Please leave your comments on my blog on Blogspot and on Facebook. All the links will follow shortly. See you next week.